Okay, welcome back to another conversation with Chris. I'm here with Larry. Larry's a van dweller. Maybe not by choice from the beginning, but we're here to hear his story and talk a little bit about the lifestyle. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. So walk me back a little bit. I know you mentioned that you're living in your van now, but it wasn't by choice at first. So obviously some circumstances happened that led you to this, but do you care to talk about that?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. My girlfriend and I been together for about 4 years, and we broke up. And I wasn't on the lease at the apartment, so it was I had to leave, and she wanted to keep in the apartment. And spent a couple of weeks, sleeping outside in a tent, getting to my job on a daily
Yep.
basis. But I just happened to get a nice commission check one day, and found a van that was $1,300
All
and
right.
bare
All right,
bones.
nice. Yeah.
So I've spent some time kind of fixing up little odds and water pump here, fuel pump there, things like that.
Okay.
But got the van, I really just started building. I kind of had
Okay.
been admiring van life, so I just started building from there.
Okay, so you had been at least uh like aware of the lifestyle. You had known about people living in vans and had been like interested in it before this breakup.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, my
Okay.
daughter played soccer growing up. She was actually pretty decent, in the area here,
Yeah.
and he was going to play in college by chance. I work
Okay.
remote,
Yeah.
so I RV or maybe a van or something that I could make sure to travel to get to all the games. So that's kind of where my thought process came from
Yeah. Yeah.
15, 16 years later. And it, turned out to be a necessity.
Uh-huh.
And result, I'm just able to kind of save some money, do a little traveling.
Yeah.
My own, she lives on her own. So, I don't have any worries except for my two puppies.
All right, cool. And are your puppies with you?
No, they are. They're in the back there listening.
All right, cool. Very nice. And do you mind what type of van do you have?
My van is a Chevy Express van. It's
Okay.
2,500.
All right. All right, nice. Very cool. So, so how long have you been in the van now?
It's been a little over 2 years. I guess it's just a little bit over 2 years. Now, a
Okay.
little bit. I spent some time in Illinois and stayed with a friend for a while I was doing, some fixing to the van.
Yeah.
But that got to me, and so I had to bring myself back in a hurry.
Okay. All right. I'm originally from Illinois as well. Is that where you grew up?
That is where I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in the Quad
Okay.
City.
Okay. All right. Nice. Yeah, I grew up in the Chicago area.
Nice.
So kind of far away, but still the same state, of course.
Sure.
All right. So you're not based in Illinois now? Where are you based?
I am in Southern California.
Okay. And do you have like are you like firmly grounded there, or do you kind of have freedom to move around pretty easily?
Oh, I have freedom to move around because again, I work
You work
remotely.
work
I
remotely, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I can pretty much go where I want to go. But since my daughter lives here in San Marcos, it's North San Diego.
Yeah,
I kind of like to stay in this area,
yeah,
so get around to see her. And
yeah.
the area is nice. I'm pretty close to the beach, so
And the climate is ideal for staying in a van, to be honest. Especially the winters, yeah. Yeah. All right, nice. So I know like, I've done a couple years of van life as well, and currently I live in an SUV. So I know we probably get asked pretty similar questions. Um, One of them, I guess, is like, do you cook? Like people ask how you get food. I'm curious if you have like a cooking setup, if you have a fridge, like what you do about food and eating.
yeah, I've got a Igloo ice cooler. I think it's a 72 quart.
Okay.
I go to Starbucks every day. I get a couple little Starbucks in the area, and I get my ice there for free. They give me water and
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
I can keep my food that needs to be cold,
Okay.
cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
like that. I've also got just a single. It's a butane as well as propane
Okay.
cook single burner stove that I use.
Okay.
I've got pair and pans. I ate a lot of sandwiches,
Yeah.
because lettuce, because I mean, being right here in California, it's really easy to go to the 99-cent store, pick up a head of lettuce,
Yeah.
pick up potatoes, get some bread, get all your
Yeah.
condiments. So I spent a lot of time eating stuff like that. And sometimes,
Yeah.
I treat every now and then, but for the most part, I just cook and eat, do sandwiches,
Yeah.
soups, casseroles.
Yeah. Yeah. I also learned over time that you know, there's a lot of food that you can eat that also doesn't need to stay cold. So it's like you can supplement in different ways. Sometimes maybe go out to eat, sometimes cook, sometimes you can have a fridge. I always found when or sorry, a fridge or a cooler. I always found when I was like having ice regularly, it got to be a pain in the ass because of like the water the ice melting and then stuff getting all watery. So I do that in spurts as well, but it just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. So sometimes I'll go plenty of time without ice even. And you can go to a grocery store anytime and get cold food. You can get fresh produce, stuff like that, and just eat as
Yep.
you go. When you're in urban environments, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier that way. Um, so yeah, can you tell me a bit about how your life has changed since you've started, some of the benefits and even some of the cons of living that way?
Well, I think obviously the biggest benefit is that I'm not paying rent.
Yeah,
I am able to save some money. It's not that I don't have expenses. Obviously, I've
yeah,
got insurance, food, things of that
yeah,
nature.
yeah,
Without out here, the rent is ridiculous.
yeah,
$2, 2,200,
yeah,
25, saving that way. And actually being able to travel. I was a single father. For my daughter's pretty much her entire life from the time she was 6, and
yeah,
so I didn't get a lot of time like traveling because I just didn't make a lot of money at that time. And
yeah,
she was competitive sports and things, so we really had to stay around because it kind of was an all year thing. Um, but just the main thing is saving money.
yeah,
Living in this style, I think it's an adjustment because some people,
yeah,
you know, influencer type
yeah,
van life, that have a
yeah,
bunch of luxurious van. But
yeah,
then you've got people that are kind of like myself who, just kind of sort of have a regular van, or, we just kind of
yeah,
sort of live life. We're not rich. And I
yeah,
didn't have a, so this has allowed me to really save. And then having the flexibility since I do work remotely, if I want to
yeah,
pick up Vegas or go to LA or,
yeah,
Phoenix, case me, it's not a problem. I
yeah,
just pack up and go.
yeah,
Been able to downsize quite a bit. You never really think about how much, unnecessary stuff you have. I don't really want to call it
yeah,
junk, but stuff.
yeah,
Um, and I don't mind not, I was in the Marine Corps for a while, so I don't
yeah,
mind
okay,
being right. I don't mind cooking and, all that
yeah,
type of stuff.
yeah,
It, um, and the solitude. I kind of like, I'm not an introvert, but
yeah,
I don't by myself.
yeah,
That's kind of really all the positive stuff, just the freedom to kind of do whatever it is that I want to do whenever I
yeah,
choose to.
yeah,
Of course, the savings is really the big thing. That's going to allow me to
yeah,
take some down the road, or maybe I can go to England, or whatever the case may be.
yeah,
I'd say some of the bad things, basically, just here in California, at least in Southern California here, they're pretty strict about, you not sleeping in your vehicle on the street.
yeah,
That's one thing that you kind of got to be concerned about. You might get that little knock to hey, we
yeah,
got a van, you got to move. Um, a lot of people kind of concerned about looking homeless. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
mean, I take a shower every day. I change my
yeah,
clothes, but I try to keep my front area that people can see
yeah,
really uncluttered. So
yeah,
that way, if it walks by, they're not going to go, "Oh, there's someone living in the van." Obviously, when people find out that you are living in the van, you get the questions. How do you cook? How do you go to the
yeah,
bathroom?
yeah,
Shower?
yeah, yeah,
You know, same typical type of stuff. But for me, I just basically I don't have any game, so I don't mind if people look at me and they
yeah,
can assume whatever it is that they want about
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
True, but every now and then you kind of get some nosy people. I'd say
yeah,
that's probably the worst part of having encounters with people. But for the most part, a lot of people are just understanding, and it's just kind of a mindset too. Like I think about um, where I'm going to sleep. I make sure to get there, right around the time it's dark, and I
yeah,
make sure right about the time the sun comes up. I
yeah,
don't spend. I'm like I am sitting in my van right now because I'm charging my laptop. I got to do a little bit more
uh-huh,
work. But if I'm going to park somewhere, I don't park there and sit in the front of my van and just sit there and
Yeah.
then close up. I've got a little curtain that I right here behind me
Okay.
that I
Yeah,
slide
yeah,
it.
yeah. Nice.
I can tether it down, strap it down pretty good, so that way no light gets through there.
Yeah,
So I just try to be cognizant of stuff like that. I don't leave trash. You know what I'm saying? I always
yeah,
sleep somewhere where I've got a restroom close, like a park or
yeah,
24 hours of some sort.
yeah,
Otherwise, emergency can that I use. But I'd say those are kind of the negative things.
yeah, yeah. I hear you. But in Southern California, I mean, it's been some years since I was out there, but I mean, there was a lot of people living in vehicles then, and I assume that there's a lot more living now. So I'm curious, how often do you get the knock? Is that something somewhat
Uh,
regular, or
um, not too regularly for me. Again, because I try to. It's happened to me twice.
yeah, okay,
Here. And the main thing was I wasn't thinking. Actually, I
uh-huh,
guess twice in 2 years. The very
yeah,
first, I was just parked in my van. Used to be a commercial van, so some of the logos and things were half on, half off. It just
okay,
kind
all
of.
right,
But I was in a regular area, and I would just open my sliding door, sit back there on my laptop.
yeah.
But I didn't think about the fact that I'm just sitting here in a van with my door open as women and children are walking
Oh, yeah,
by.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the
And
perception of, yeah,
yeah, that was the first knock that I got from the police. Like, yeah,
yeah,
someone, and so that wise up on that. So I
yeah, yeah,
say it's fine. I try to make sure that I sit like in a parking lot or on a
yeah,
not very, so I don't get those
yeah,
looks. You know, telling you the first happened, it didn't even dawn on me. I just saw people walking. I'm just kind of waving as they go by.
yeah,
All of a sudden, people start veering away from the open door, and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, Chester."
Yeah,
You know,
yes, 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 yes. That
so,
same a similar thing happened to me years ago. I was on a road trip around California, and I was where was I? I was probably up kind of a bit south of Santa Barbara or something, and it was Halloween, and just around dark, I pulled into a neighborhood and just I was like tired or whatever, and I just wanted to park and be done with it. And I got a knock a couple hours later from the police, and then I started realizing, oh wow, that's a pretty bad bad day to be in a van and in a neighborhood parked like that. And but I think that was probably the last time that happened. That was quite a few years ago, but I can relate to the experience. So
I had another
um
knock maybe like about it was a little over a month ago. But where I parked, there's apartment buildings, and it's a public street. On one
yeah,
part of the street, I guess it's like 2 hour parking throughout the day, and then you can park
uh-huh,
there at night. But on the other, like perpendicular street, you can park there all day, all night, whatever the case may be. And I'd been
yeah,
in state about probably 2 weeks,
okay,
and not like all day, all night, but every night I would pull in, I would hang out, and then I would just do my thing. But the police officer came, he knocked, and he's like, "Hey man, you remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah,
you're one of the 5 cops that bum rushed me at Starbucks that one day."
all
For
right,
allegedly. He's
yeah,
like, "Yeah, we got the call," and he goes, "Come over here and talk to me." It was like 3:30 in the morning. I said, "I'm going to go to
yeah,
Starbucks." He goes, "That's fine." He goes, "Listen," he goes, "You know why people are calling on you, right?" He goes, "There's
uh,
two obvious." I said, "A, I'm a dark colored person." He said,
yeah,
"Yeah."
okay,
B, my van looks really ugly. He's like,
uh-huh,
"Yes,
yeah,
total eyesore." He's like, and that's what people are really complaining about. He's like, "But if you just give me your telephone number," he's like, "when we get calls about you," he goes, "I'll
yeah,
just call. So then I
yeah,
don't have to cut the lights on and
yeah,
embarrass you." That was very nice of him, but
yeah,
that's the only thing that really happened to me.
yeah, okay. Oh, so I wanted to mention another thing because you mentioned Starbucks, and funny enough, I'm actually at Panera right now, and I obviously not sponsored by them, but they have what's called a drink pass, and this is something I would recommend to any van dwellers, vehicle dwellers, whatever, truckers even, because it's so convenient. It's something like maybe $12 a month for
Mhm.
unlimited drinks, like coffee and sodas and stuff like that. And then of course they have air conditioning and you have uh e- electricity. So like for me, and they have promotions for like 2 free months. So for me, it's like been a great option, a great, like I never really went to Panera before, but just because of this deal,
Sure.
yeah, that's something I would promote to people because For me, yeah, it's a money saver. It's a nice place to spend time when it's a hot day or whatever. And get ice as well. Like I go in also, like I got this, I generally just fill it with ice, and
Right.
or I'll go and fill up some cups of ice and just put it in, or a big like freezer bag full of ice and just put it in my cooler. So it's like also a convenient way to save money.
I'll check into that. I'd heard that a while ago, like when they first started doing it, I guess. But I
Yeah,
at the right, so I didn't think about it. But
yeah,
that's good information, good reminder
yeah.
to me.
If you're getting coffee from Starbucks every day, or if you're like paying for stuff at Starbucks, well, it's definitely a way to save money, at least depending on your taste for coffee or whatever. But yeah, just a suggestion. Um, so you also mentioned that you're working remotely. I assume you're working online.
Yes, that's correct. I do
Okay.
software sales.
All right. So that's another question I have. What do you do for internet?
I Starbucks. I'll sit there
Okay.
for 3 hours in the morning.
Okay.
If I sit where I'm sitting right now in this particular parking lot, if I
Yeah.
sit close to McDonald's, then I
Okay.
can get Wi-Fi from across the street.
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise, I tether to my phone, and I use
Okay.
I use data.
Okay, so that's another thing I would recommend. And of course, I'm not sponsored by anybody. My channel has 3 subscribers, I think. But so this is another thing that I discovered, or I kind of fell into about a year ago, is Visible Wireless. They use Verizon's network. Actually, it is a company from Verizon. But they have it's $25 a month for unlimited tethering. Like I know a lot of companies will put like a 5 gig cap or something on that, but unlimited calls, text, unlimited everything for $25 a month. So that's another thing that I'm like, I would tell everybody because of how impressed I've been with it. Because I can just I can sit anywhere, like in the shade, in a park or whatever, and tether for my phone all day. It's been really convenient as well. So also something to consider.
Yeah, I'll do that as well.
And do you have any power, any like any solar or any kind of a battery that you charge? Like,
I don't have solar yet, but I do have it's a EcoFlow
okay,
um, power station. It's
okay, yeah,
600
all right,
peak.
yeah,
It does pretty decent. So I mean, and my main thing that I needed it for was obviously to make sure that I have power to
yeah,
recharge my that
yeah,
nature.
yep,
My overhead fan that's in the back, it's an intake and an out and exhaust fan. Um,
okay,
the way that I had it connected was I had a dome light back there, and I just ran the power to that.
all right,
Problem was A, it drains my battery on my fan, and
yeah,
B, the dome light set up. The dome light only stays on for 5 minutes and then it goes off.
okay,
It was when I got the EcoFlow, I made sure that it had the little, I think they're 5 millimeter DC ports. So it's got the
okay,
cigarette light,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
smaller.
okay, yep, yep,
That's what I run to my fan. So now I can run my fan all day and all night as long as I have
okay,
power. I come
yeah,
back, turn every 5 or 10 minutes or whatnot.
okay, nice.
Plan,
Yeah,
plan to
sorry,
get some.
good,
I was just saying, I
okay,
plan to get.
yeah, yeah,
I just
yeah,
haven't.
okay, yeah. Also, like last summer, I had some solar, but then I found whatever I got a different battery bank, and it's only like around 300 watt hours and a 300 watt battery, but like almost every time I'm driving, it's almost always fully charged. But the nice thing is too, you can go to Starbucks or you can go to Panera or wherever, and you can plug those things in for a couple hours, and that'll at least give you power for the night as well.
Absolutely.
So very cool. And then I guess another question is, I assume you have a gym membership or something for showers.
I do.
Okay.
Planet Fit.
Okay, yeah, I use them as well, and that's another one that it's so convenient, especially for if you're on the move, or if you're not in just the same town all the time. The fact that they're kind of all over the place, it's super convenient.
I
Yeah,
agree. One of the first
yeah,
things I did at the van was get that membership.
yeah. And I also notice, and I'm sure I would guess you do too. Like anytime I go to Planet Fitness around here, I'm in the Denver area. Anytime I go to one around here, I mean, I'll always see some like pro masters, like high top vans, or all what I don't know if you're the same too, but once you kind of start living in a vehicle, you start to notice much more how many people are. So especially in Walmarts and when I'm in certain kind of parking lots, certain areas, I'm like, okay, somebody's definitely living in that. Somebody's definitely living in that. So you start to see how many people are actually living that way. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that some people are like myself, they started off out of necessity, and I know that some people are just doing it,
Yeah,
just to, not
yeah,
that they don't have a good paying job. People just kind of want, different options and different freedoms. You know what I mean? And the price of rent, like I said, here in Southern
yeah,
California, crazy.
yeah,
Apartment that we had was about 2 blocks, paid $2,200 for it per month the first
yeah,
year.
yeah,
We broke. When she had to re-sign the lease for the second year, the price had gone up to $3,300 for the exact same apartment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So at that
That's
point,
50%. That's yeah,
I just said, forget it.
unreal.
Good on
Yeah,
that. And as long as I have, something over my head and something that I can sleep.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, another thing. So I spent quite a few years traveling around, like backpacking around the world, and in Japan, it's very common. They have, maybe you've seen them. They're called capsule hotels. So
Yeah.
you basically like you're just in this like little cutty, and I started to see it as no different than that. Like you said, you just need a roof over your head. You need some protection from the elements. Maybe not so much in Southern California. You have pretty much, it rarely rains. Maybe recently this year, but yeah, still you want some protection, some privacy, and something like a van or many vehicles can provide you with that. And yeah, it can be kind of a fun. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy some aspects of it.
Yeah.
To be able to camp anywhere if you want to go out in the country or countryside or whatever, up in the mountains, whatever. It's pretty nice. And yeah, as you mentioned, some people are doing it like out of desperation, but still, it's still an option that I feel like it takes the boot off your throat. Like you can breathe a little bit more. You're like you don't have the stress of, well, I have to make this much money in order to pay rent and pay all these bills and have debt and all that. And it's like when you kind of get rid of that, also, like you said, you got rid of a lot of stuff, right? A lot of
Yep.
times when you downsize to a vehicle, you're kind of forced to minimize. And at least for me, when I started my process years ago of like getting rid of stuff, I found over time when I decluttered that physical stuff, my mind decluttered as well because I didn't have so much to think about. And it's good to be able to detach from physical, from yeah, material possessions as well. So
Yeah, I totally agree. Even a lot of people, they see this, stuff online. You got people that are kind of promoting it the way they promote it, even if
yeah,
they're cheap van life or what the case may be. It's not always glamorous in
nah,
most cases. I don't think it's too, glamorous at all. It's, except for the fact that, like, for instance, for me, I can go park by the beach and go hang out.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it was glamorous,
yeah,
but reality is, especially like if it's raining, and you're
yeah,
stuck in the van all day,
yeah,
uh, if your ventilation isn't proper, which I think
yeah,
every that, crack your windows, chink your fan
yeah,
on, things. Put everything in its place. Everything needs to kind of have a place, to
yeah,
go. Everything gets cluttered, and
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
your brain and your thought process as well.
yeah,
And I don't think that the van has to be completely done. I've seen people that are like, oh, I
totally,
bought 4 years ago and
yeah,
haven't got it. We haven't done any road trips. I'm like,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
Once I ran, I just threw a mattress on the floor,
yeah,
and that was
yeah,
that started out. And then I
yeah,
built a foundation or a platform for my bed. I've done my insulation. I mean, I did my floor well. I did a subfloor. I put the insulation
yeah,
in. Oh, good. I think 3/4 inch plywood is what I put
yeah,
down, and went to a discount flooring store and got the paneling that was already
yeah,
has
okay,
material on the back, so I didn't have to buy a bunch of extra material
yeah,
resources. I got it cheap. I did
yeah,
my insulation on my walls and ceiling, and then I just kind of took off from there. Just started
yeah,
kind of traveling a little bit, and I do some upgrades. I'm working on my ceiling right now. Sorry, it's guy revving his engine over here.
Is
So,
that
not perfect. I don't have all my wood on my walls and things of that
yeah,
nature. I have fancy pull-out cabinets. I found a dresser. I bolted it onto the floor with some L
yeah,
bracket.
yeah,
I've got some things that are held with bungee cords, so things don't
yeah,
fly around there. But for the most part, I've got good room. I can walk around. I've got a couple of chairs that I can fold out, sit down, different heights of chairs,
yeah,
and do what I can to make the best out of it.
yeah, yeah. In some ways, it kind of forces you to be organized as well, because if you're dealing in a small space, if you have so much clutter, it can be kind of difficult. So it's like your life becomes much easier when you stay organized in a small space. But also, yeah, it it can teach you to be resourceful as well. Like you said, I would give that advice to anyone as well, that like you don't have to spend all this time building out your van. It's like, because people who have never done it, who are building out a van, don't really know what they need. They just imagine what they need. But I would say go live in it. Yeah, put a mattress in there, put something in there so that you can sleep on, and spend some time in there, go around, see how you would want it, see what you really need. Because also there's people that like build showers and stuff, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that. But I would say for a lot of people, you probably don't need one, and you probably don't want to take up that much space with a shower. So like in everyday living, you're used to having a shower, but so I say, go do it for a while and see what you really need, and piece by piece, step by step, put something together that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some. I look at the ProMaster vans, the high tops, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'd love one at some point in time, but that's not what I have. I just have a regular size
Yeah.
commercial. You know, having to hunch down all the time, and you have to take those types of things into consideration. When I first
Yeah.
made my bed so that I could sit on it.
Yeah.
Very little storage.
Uh-huh.
So after some time, I figured out that if I raise the bed up so that I can have some storage under there,
Yeah.
I'll have plenty of room to sleep, but I'm able to move my bed further back, which gave me like an extra 18 inches. And then
Yeah.
I saw in the door well on the sliding door, somebody basically built a platform to kind of level off the majority of that open space. So he
Uh-huh.
had more usable floor space, put something in. So once I saw that, I thought about it and I was like, wow, I'd like to do that someday. But in the meantime, if I take this dresser that's, nuzzled up right up against my edge of my bed,
Yeah.
and if I pull it forward and slide it and use a couple of L brackets, to bolt it down, I
Yeah.
gave myself so much more room. And I wouldn't have thought about that in the beginning when I first got this thing. I just found a dresser, I put it in here. It's just a little dresser, but seeing people have done things, spending some time in the van, and then again seeing something else, I just figured I could shot and move it, and it just literally opened up everything. So I could actually have it always open, folded open if I want. But subsequently, I closed that chair. I bought an ottoman that's it's about 2 feet wide,
Okay.
2 feet long. That's maybe a foot wide, and you can open up the top of it.
Okay.
You can store
I was going to ask that. Nice.
I could sit on that. So I've got another place. I've got some additional storage, and it just opened up so much more room by not having that big old folding chair in there. So, spending a little time in your vehicle, seeing what your particular needs and your needs, what you need to use, the van the way that you want to use it. And then I guess build around that.
Yeah.
Be my, as opposed to just starting to build things. I'd love to have and all that type of stuff in there, but I've got water if I need it, and I can just wash my hands or go outside.
Yeah.
Another thing that I do too, like try to make friends with businesses that you park at frequently.
Okay.
O'Reilly's Auto Shop here. They don't mind if you park there if you're doing some work on your vehicle, although you're not supposed to. But I've known them for a couple of years, so they don't mind me parking there in the shade. They've got a spigot outside. I can pull up, wash my dishes right there, dump the water down the drain. They have no problems with it. As long as you're nice, you ask first. Make sure to be clean, and be respectful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'm curious, before we go, do you have any other like tips or tricks or anything else you want to say about your experience or about the lifestyle or?
Not particular. I just think being in, some of these groups, online,
Yeah,
uh, gives you a good ideas about, maybe some things that you might want that maybe you never thought about.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so and then that kind of opens up your mind to think about some other things. My main thing is like like I said, I just spend my days doing what I do during the day, and I just really try not to park, get to my parking spot until it's time to, be dark,
yeah,
nuzzle up, because once I pull my curtains and latch everything down, no one can see my lights back there or anything.
yeah,
So, I just try to be cognizant of that.
yeah.
People are particular about their homes or where they're living. So if
Mhm.
they see vans and random people parked in their vehicles, they just, call the police. That
Yeah,
tends to a lot of people. So I try not to park in front of people's houses.
yeah,
I find sort of like industrial areas, if you will,
yeah,
that maybe
yeah,
but somewhere that I can park, and I'll be in front of a business that's, either closed for the night, or their night shift, doesn't
uh-huh,
they mind, cars being parked there.
yeah,
Um, that's kind of my go-to. It's kind of those
yeah,
industrial spots. Unless I can find a good place, where I like at a neighbor's house or something, in their
uh-huh,
neighbor, but not where maybe I know some people. Then they're less likely to call the police on you or whatnot. But for the most part, I
yeah,
just move every couple of days, keep it in a kind of 5 mile radius of where I like to be, and try to be nice and respectful like I am on a
yeah,
normal basis.
yeah. But yeah, that's important, I think, because there are people out there, of course, and this goes with camping. This goes with all sorts of people. Some people don't think, some people don't care about leaving trash. Some people don't care about how they look in a neighborhood or whatever. But it is important to, well, also it'll make your life easier if you're just aware of these things and respectful. And I think if you're kind of respectful and aware, you're kind of probably going to have less problems. So, and be more, I guess, respected by the community. You're going to have less friction. So,
Certainly.
very good words. All right, Larry. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. It was really good talking to you. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
All righty, well, take care. Have a good one.
Have a good day.
All righty, take care. Bye.